Nothing to show you on video. In today's video, I want to talk about stopping a vehicle with a gun. I have to actually be careful what I say. I'm talking about shooting into a vehicle, motor vehicle. This video is designed for police and security. Guys, every single month across America, I keep seeing lines. Usually police shoot at a vehicle, right? And then sometimes the headlines will say unarmed individual behind the wheel. Again, security kind of follows pursuit of what police do. They see what police are doing. They copy the same thing. Guys, shooting in a vehicle is not very effective. Years ago, I was involved in a situation where my partner, he found the need to do something like this. And it was a miss, right? He didn't hit the intended target. Now, was it justified? I would argue completely yes. But generally, shots into a vehicle are not very effective. Look at the Acorn officer. I don't know why I'm referring to the officer as the Acorn officer, for lack of a better reference of his name. He shot all these times, and then the sergeant into this vehicle, and none of those shots were lethal hits. They were like grazes or something like that. You have windshield deflection from the bullets. You have rear windshield deflection. The doors are made out of all kinds of compositions. Again, it's generally ineffective. And if there's multiple people inside of a vehicle, what gives you the right to shoot at the passengers? Because that's ultimately what you're doing. Okay, you have somebody that's in control of the vehicle, and then you have the passengers, right? What gave the passengers essentially a death sentence? It's the passenger? I'm sorry, the driver? It doesn't really make sense. So, guys, the policy is from California. A lot of the law enforcement agencies out here, we use Lexipol, Lexipol, as a policy. Lexipol tells police officers that if there's a moving vehicle towards them, that if it's feasible, if it's safe, if it does not involve the officer endangering their life, they are to consider moving out of the way before firing on the vehicle. Okay? And I absolutely think that security should follow the same rules. Now, if we're over here saying you should never shoot at a vehicle, that's something I'm going to argue with, because you essentially have a 4,000-pound weapon, a 6,000-pound weapon, an 8,000-pound weapon, and that is probably worse than getting hit with a bullet. But you have to consider your escape avenue. That's what Lexipol requires. Almost every law enforcement policy that I know of requires that. You guys got to be careful. You're going to be charged with a criminal offense. I had another buddy at another jurisdiction. He shot multiple rounds in the wrong vehicle. And he ended up killing everybody inside the vehicle. That person was ultimately fired, and that's all I could say from that. You guys, we got to move out of the way, guys. Okay, this thing of jumping on the hood of a vehicle, telling the driver to stop, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. At the same time, okay, vehicles, they can kill you. A friend of mine, Tommy Scott, Los Angeles Airport Police Department, was decapitated. He was trying to regain control over his vehicle. A suspect rammed the police vehicle into a fire hydrant, and my friend lost his life. So I totally understand the need to shoot at a moving vehicle, but we gotta do so in a reasonable manner, in a manner that's consistent with policy, consistent with the law. But I'm just kind of tired of seeing usually police, jumping in front of a vehicle that's fleeing the scene, slow speed. I've been seeing slow speed, telling them to stop or they're going to shoot, and then all of a sudden they light the vehicle up when they had different avenues of escape. Guys, if you have an avenue of escape and it does not endanger your life more, then you got to move out of the way. Now, there is a Tennessee versus Gardner situation with some of these situations where they don't want to stop. Okay, so maybe you have somebody that just took out a whole family, right? And then they're fleeing, and you have probable cause to believe that they're going to continue endangering innocent lives. Tennessee versus Gardner tells us that we can take out the fleeing felon. We can, and I'm being really selective with my words. We could shoot them, right? We could stop the threat. Guys, that's for law enforcement. That is for law enforcement. Is there a Tennessee versus Gardner situation for private security? There actually is. And that's covered in my 40-hour private patrol operator leadership and development course. But you have to look at the standards, guys. Okay? They're leaving property. You're going to go ahead and light them up when they're leaving property, or they're on your property. Okay? You're going to light them up. Just think about that. Now, let's just say you have an active attack situation. Again, San Bernardino, California. Okay? We had two of them, two terrorists that took basically San Bernardino under siege. They kept leaving the scene, right? That's a Tennessee versus Gardner situation, but is that a private security situation? Okay. Now, that's something a little bit more on the extreme end, I would argue. You make your decision on that. But guys, we need to stop shooting at moving vehicles. Get out of the way. Your handgun rounds are generally not effective. The bullet's going to deflect. Preferably you want a rifle, and if you're in California, that's a huge gray area having that rifle with you. Okay. All right, guys, let me just go through the comments real quick. Give me a second, and I'll leave this live stream open just so that we can get everybody's perspective on this. I knew Mike was here. Mike from the Professional Security Journal here. He says, LVMPD, Las Vegas Metro PD, has plenty of experience firing through windshields. You know, that's a topic of a whole other story. I'm not going to get into that one. I'm not going to get into that one for sure. You know, there's ways on doing this. There's for sure ways on doing this. And I'm not saying, like, don't ever shoot a moving vehicle, because I'm restricting myself. I'm over here online probably keeping the story up, and I'm going to say don't shoot a moving vehicle. No, I'm just saying move out of the way if it's feasible. If you're inside the vehicle and you're in a car-to-car gunfight, that's a different story. Again, your rounds are going to be generally ineffective, and your proper bullet placement is probably going to be ineffective, but there's ways on dealing with that, which is not the topic of today's video. Mike says he browses all of the Lexipol or Lexipolice One articles all the time. So Lexipol is an actual legal consulting firm. They have like a bunch of attorneys. True story. I got trained by the owner of that company, or the CEO. I can't remember his name, but a former CHP sergeant. I guess his video went viral when this guy on the freeway. I guess he holed up like the 10 freeway or something like that. He was parked there. He was armed with a revolver, impeding traffic. And this sergeant, at the time, he just walked up to him and just nailed him right in the face with his revolver. Nail meaning he shot him in the face. Pretty significant. This was the 80s, guys. This guy had been in situations. Anyhow, I don't want to get too off topic here. Mike says, armed fleeing felon using a vehicle. What is that charge called? Evasion, felonious retreat. My head is swirling in charges from what I know. Yeah, I mean, if an armed felon is leaving, or just a felon is leaving the scene, that's delaying a peace officer, that's evading arrest. If the evading is done in a extremely reckless manner, in such a way that life is endangered, then you have a felony evading arrest, but that's it. Okay, that's it. Or if you're private security, I guess maybe your state has something for evading a private person's arrest. Not goat. It is wise to get a Benelli M4. Is it wise to get a M4? It depends on what the it is. Next question. John Red Corn says not goat. I have 2 M4 and a Beretta, and a Benelli is much better. Professor Security Journal says I prefer the 1301 over the Benelli personally. Emphasis on personally. It's the weight and ergos for me. I don't know. I go with the Beretta.